13-year pro, UC Davis Hall of Fame member, MLS Cup champion, and USSF licensed coach Quincy Amarikwa here, and happy to present the Perfect Soccer Podcast, where your host, 7-year MLS and USL Pro Akeem O'Connor-Ward, goes one-on-one to get to know your favorite and aspiring pro players and coaches, both on and off the pitch. Today's episode is sponsored by PerfectSoccerSkills.com. Our $5 buy one get one free mini ball and our 10 size 5 balls for only $150 specials are both now available for purchase on our website. And for those of you interested in customized items, we've got you covered as well, with our custom designed jerseys and full uniforms starting as low as $25, and our custom designed soccer balls for you, your club, or school also starting as low as $25. Get all the info you need and place your order at PerfectSoccerSkills.com. If you have any specific soccer needs, special requests, or know someone perfect to be a guest on our podcast, please send an email to our support team at contact@perfectsoccerskills.com. Thanks, and we hope you enjoyed today's episode.
Okay, what is up, peeps? It's your boy Akeem O'Connor-Ward here, your Perfect Soccer Podcast host. We have a good one in store for you today to kick off 2026, guys. I know I say this every time, but I'm serious. Just tune in. I would like to introduce a former Bethesda AC standout. He began his Division One soccer career at the prestigious Wake Forest University and finished it at James Madison University, graduating with a bachelor's in sport management and a minor in business. After college, he fully transitioned and becoming a top-tier referee, working in the front office with ticket sales for Loudoun United and DC Power FC. With over 10 plus years, guys, in referee experience. He's a licensed NISOA, ECSR, and USSF regional referee, and even more impressively, a Division One and Division Three referee. Everyone, please welcome Zach Fingerhut. Welcome, 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 welcome. It's good to have you on, man.
Yeah,
Good to
yeah.
have
Thank
you
you
on.
so
It's good
much,
to have you on.
Akeem.
Of course, man.
The moment that our paths reconnected, through the IG, I was extremely ecstatic and delighted that we could get together on this podcast, and I'm really delighted about this opportunity to share some pieces of my background and how I transitioned, from being a top level player to becoming a licensed referee.
Sweet. No, we're happy to have you on, man. It's been ages, man. We back in the day were roughing it out in Desert Fire AC days, man. Having us go on random trips out to cabins and doing this and doing that, man. Uh,
Yeah, Deep Creek, you
oh my
remember that?
Deep
And
Creek.
those absolutely
Oh my
brutal fitness conditioning sessions we had
God.
with Philip Zhao, running us into the ground on those hills. And
I will remember that like it's yesterday, honestly. But we'll get into that deeper because that's gonna even be the intro of everything what we're doing here. But like, you mentioned, obviously you played soccer first, before becoming you're a soccer player before becoming a referee. So like, what is your like earliest memory, of playing soccer? Like, what did that look like for you? Everyone has a different, origin story, so to speak, of soccer.
yeah, sure. For me, it really goes all the way back to my, recreational playing days. I first started out with McLean Youth Soccer, which is just right down the road from me.
Mhm.
I played for, my rec team there, and then ultimately I made like the all-star team. And I remember vividly just, my skills kind of taking off, and I was managing to dribble through, like 5 to 6 players, and scoring like countless goals. And yeah, I just had such great memories from that experience. And I was probably considered one of the smaller sized players like on my team, but just had a technical ability that kind of stood out, and that helped move me up to playing on the competitive travel team for McLean, which way back in our day, one of the most or the highest level leagues in our area was called NCSL, the
Yep.
National Capital Soccer League.
Yes.
With
That was it.
with the renowned promotion relegation system,
Actually,
which is
unbelievable to to think. I did, you saying that is actually making it like that was the first promotion relegation ever.
yeah,
Wow, in
yeah,
youth soccer, that's crazy. Wow.
yeah. And
Wow.
so I think I started out on like maybe Division 5 or 6 in NCSL with McLean. And it was really just doing it because it was a competitive environment, and just high level of soccer for me to play. And yeah, I was mainly just doing it for like, just like physical activity and exercise. And uh, it was a sport I started enjoying. So it was a way for my parents to get me out of the house and take me to practices multiple times a week and stuff. And um, yeah, my first coach I ever had, his name was Bill Delaney, and I was also under the management of his name was Marcelo at McLean.
Why
He's
do
a
I feel
pretty
like I
well
know that name?
yeah, he's a pretty well respected guy in the DMV. I think he has a pretty deep soccer background.
Hmm.
Don't remember exactly like where he's played and all that, but I know for a fact he's been around the block, and he has he still to this day actually is like one of the technical directors at McLean. So he's seen my growth and development over the years from when I was a youngster, just barely being able to kick a soccer ball to um to to making it in the bigger upper leagues. So
Hmm.
I'm really grateful to Bill Delaney and Marcelo for taking me in the club. And then from there I moved on to we gradually moved up the ranks and the divisions over the years, and I finally made it to NCSL Division 2, which is where I stumbled across Loudoun Soccer Club in Leesburg, Virginia. So I made the jump to them because they played at a higher level. And um, yeah, one of my biggest accomplishments when I was young was being promoted to Division 1 with Loudoun.
Sick.
I got to play for this guy named Michael Green, who was a former Kansas City Wizard in MLS.
Wow.
He was a defender or midfielder, I think, and yeah, really successful player. And yeah, he really took me under his wing, and I developed a long way. And yeah, we got moved up to the D1, which was massive at the time, and
Yes.
that's where I got connected with Bethesda Soccer Club, and because um, yeah, we both played in Division 1, and we my team at Loudoun played against Bethesda
Hmm.
in a league game, and at the time, I had expressed interest in trying out for Bethesda. I knew it was going to be kind of farther away from where I lived. I reside in McLean, Virginia, but I knew that in order to make that next step in my career, as a youth player, like that it was necessary. And Bethesda really stood out to me as a high top tier club. That profession that develops great players. Through their system of playing an attacking, attractive style of soccer, and being relentless off the press, and building out of the back, and all of those things. That's their philosophy that they live for. And yeah, so tried out for Bethesda during the middle of my season with Loudoun, or after my season with Loudoun. Unfortunately, we didn't perform well enough to stay in Division 1, so we got relegated, so to
That was
speak.
the I remember. I don't know if I was relegated if I'm thinking about it, but like I remember like hearing about the kids that did and like it was not good or I always remember the feeling. I think I got promoted from when I was playing. I played at PWSI. That was so far.
Yeah,
William Curry's
yeah.
back in the day before I
Oh,
before
I remember them very, very well.
before moving to Bethesda. That was a journey to go out there. Thank you, mom and dad, for that. But yeah, the promotion
Yeah.
relegation, actually just the fact that you mentioned that, like that was a real thing back in the day. That was
Yeah.
a real thing. Obviously, I don't know now looking back, I don't know the monetary aspect of it and what that looked like, but like
Right.
that was a thing for the kids, like, yo, we need to go up, we need to win, we need to do this and that. And so and parents took it
Yeah.
very seriously as well. So
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
it was no joke at all, man. Um, but yeah, sorry to cut you. I know you're in it, but
Yeah, yeah, no worries. So I knew that I still wanted to compete at the highest level in NCSL Division One, and so I tried out one season for both Bethesda and Annandale, who were both in D1, and yeah, I just really clicked with Bethesda a lot more, and their development strategy and how they could help take me to like where I wanted to go
yes.
in my career. So I took a big risk because you know the grass could always be greener on the other side with maybe Annandale like winning the league or something like that. But um, yeah, everything ended up working out really well. Uh, my first season with Bethesda, we ended up winning the entire league NCSL. And we
Not
just
surprised.
marginally came out on top in points over Herndon Youth Soccer. They were known as
Herndon, man.
Herndon Real Juniors. They had players like Roman Gall, Rafael
Oh
Fagundo.
gosh.
Um,
Wow. I actually saw Roman last week.
uh, they
Crazy.
had Abdi Youssef. I mean, they were a stacked team. Oh, and Patrick Foss, who balled out at UVA. Yeah, so it
Duds,
was,
man. Wow. Wow.
and
Wow.
then we were battling against other teams in the league, like Reston Knights. They had Suli Donka.
Oh, Suli's massive.
Yeah,
He's
yeah,
always been just bigger than everyone, man. Left foot just big fella. Oh man.
yeah. I mean, it was a super competitive league. So I mean, to this day, it's like one of my proudest accomplishments, honestly, because none of this MLS Next, ECNL, EDP, none of these other leagues like even existed or were like a
Women.
forethought in
Mhm.
anyone's mind. So to come out on top, get the trophy is something I'm extremely proud of to this day. And yeah, many years passed by. I stuck with Bethesda. I ended up playing with AC for 5 years from
Sick.
U13 to U19. And then, got recruited to play at Wake Forest in North Carolina. My whole team was super stacked. Like we were we were so talented. Like
I was
it
one
was
of the most
insane.
talented teams I've seen, and I got yeah, Fire. I thought was talented, but I was like, I always remember like if we played against you guys, we were like, bro, we have no chance. Like we have good players, really good players, but like this team, just like the year of physical, like the physicality of these guys, like how physically dominant you guys were, and just
Yeah.
technical and too, and just like relentless. We were like, it's good to like get battered by you guys because that'll help us like with other teams our age group, but.
Right.
Like I remember, yeah, that being like a actual thing. I'm like, this team was so talented. I know you just touched on it, but like, um, for you, okay, what did that look like in your the college recruitment process? Like, um,
Yeah.
yeah, especially like because at that time U19 was still club or did they go academy then?
Yeah, so my senior year of high school, it actually turned into an academy. So
Um,
Bethesda joined the DA, the Development Academy,
mhm.
and they merged clubs actually with Only
Yeah.
with the so I got to play with the Rangers for a full year.
Oh, that that
I
thing
was
that now
basically
there's
the
a
only I was like the only player that was left behind kind of because I was younger
mm-hmm.
on AC. So I got to train in, under Matt Pilkington, who I'm sure you know very well
Oh, yes.
from your youth. And yeah, I mean Fortunately, my recruitment situation was pretty much already wrapped up by my senior year. I committed when I was like 17, so I was going into October of my junior year in high school, which is considered like super early in the process. And I was just like anybody else. I was like a naive teenager in high school. I didn't really know much better for myself. I just kind of took the best offer that was laid out to me on the table, not even
Okay.
from a scholarship perspective, but just like the, the most premier or
Yeah,
the best program out there, right?
of
You
course.
know.
Like, yeah, and like, nah, I align with that so much because there's so many different factors, right? Like, there's so much things you don't know, and you don't know at all. And then if your parents like didn't play and like didn't have that experience and like you didn't have guidance, so it's just like all I know is that everyone's saying to me like this is a really good school, top 10 in the country. Like I may not know what that really means, but like they're good. Did you visit the school?
I did, yeah. I got to make an unofficial visit. I think when I was a junior, and then also an official visit as a senior. And at the time, it felt like it was like a perfect fit. Like everything lined up. And I could totally see myself attending that school and being successful. Both on and off the field as a student athlete. But lo and behold, I ended up not having, a good experience at all. And I think this doesn't get spoken about enough, but basically everything you thought could go right, coming out of high school, actually went wrong for me. Like I got caught on the wrong side of a coaching transition. So basically the whole coaching staff who recruited me ended up leaving after the fall of my freshman season. There was just a lot of, kind of turmoil and like moving parts. Like players on my team, were having trouble kind of getting along with each other. There was, incidents of, just kind of disrespect or, even there was one occasion during a practice where, kind of a small like fight broke out because like my teammates were just getting so frustrated and mad at each other for like mistakes they were making and just letting their egos get the best of them that they um they just got in a big shouting match and just I I guess being a part of that environment, which was quite like toxic and like
Yes.
unhealthy for me. It really took me into a downward spiral, kind of in my kind of my mental health and kind of psychological like welfare. And yeah, everything ended up going wrong, at least like for my personal experience there. And I wish this on nobody else, but yeah, like I mentioned, I was just a naive kind of high schooler, and I didn't I didn't really know all of the aspects of
Mhm.
Wake Forest before I got on campus and was actually enrolled there. And
Mhm.
so, hindsight is always 2020 as
Right.
the expression goes. And I had another Division I offer on the table from William and Mary, which is known as um, a public Ivy League school, and they have a pretty strong program there as well. And
Mhm.
maybe looking back, my experience could have shaped out a lot differently and gone much better. But as much as it kind of pains me that I didn't have a good experience in college as a top D1 player, it really unlocked some other opportunities and that I discovered along the way. And so this is kind of where my whole entry into refereeing
Yeah.
originated. Um, so yeah, I truly learned the definition of adversity and um, you know, hardship and anguish. All of those emotions kind of hit me all at once, being at Wake Forest. And so I, I felt what was best for me was to take a medical leave of absence from college. I took some time off of school just to regroup and get myself in a healthier mindset. And yeah, then I decided to transfer to James Madison University in Harrisonburg, Virginia. And I got to study something I was a lot more passionate about, which is sport management. And Wake Forest didn't even offer like a program like that. Um, so I felt like I was going through the motions academically at Wake as well. Not getting to study something that I'm interested in. Like I was just a communications major there. Like,
Ah,
anyone can
man,
speak English, right?
everyone loves a good old comms.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. Yeah, man. Uh,
But yeah, my experience at JMU was a lot more positive. And I did try out for the men's soccer team there, but I think at a school like that, it's a huge public university, so they pick a lot more like international players
yeah,
and stuff.
yeah,
And yeah, I think you're very well aware of kind of the landscape of college soccer and how certain programs, they heavily favor, you know, internationals over domestic talent. Um, Maybe even at the school you played at, I don't know how it was like for you at Creighton, but
yeah. It was very
yeah,
much. It was very much so. Yeah, at some point in time, I would say 75% of the starting roster was foreign at some
yeah,
point in time, and then you're seeing that even now. It's even worse now because the kids are getting
yeah,
paid. They're getting paid, and so.
right,
I completely see that. That's actually crazy you mentioned James Madison. Actually, I went and visited James Madison. That was one of the schools I was going to go to. It didn't work out the way,
yeah,
it worked out how it's supposed to work out. But I was like, yeah, it's cool. Maybe I need to stay closer to home. But at the same time, I had been away from home for so long, and then Creighton kind of um, came to fruition, and went that route. But
mm,
it's good to see that I don't think many people are as self-aware as you are. It sounded like at that young age, and obviously it took a very tough situation for you to kind of um you know literally awaken that self-awareness, so to speak, and realize, okay, this may be not be the best place for me. I may need to step away. So I would say it's obviously very brave of you. You needed it. I'm glad you did that, to help yourself, and to kind of make that kind of pivot. And that was actually one of my next questions. Like, when did you kind of pivot becoming a referee? But obviously, you just explained it.
mm,
But that's just like so
yeah,
good to see how you know, you know, I guess the bad turned into something good that you've pursued for 6, 7, 10 plus years now since then, and
yeah,
serious capacity. So. Um, Yeah, that's just great
yeah.
to see what came, out of that difficult, situation, um, in that regard, though.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think all the viewers, here want to know like how I got into
Mhm.
officiating, and honestly, it came from that bitter, difficult experience in college, and I managed to turn it into something positive. So I didn't start really um, I didn't start really refereeing until I was a senior in high school, but I didn't take it seriously. Like I just kind of did it a few times on the weekends. I participated in some local,
Mhm.
really good tournaments, like even some of ones that I played in growing up, like Bethesda
Yep. Yep.
Premier Cup and Loudon Soccer Showcase, and Arlington College Soccer Showcase, and various others that were, kind of both like seasonal and also like college recruitment opportunities for players. And
Okay.
so that's where I really started getting some games under my belt. And then I took a few years of a hiatus when I was in college, because I just wanted to focus on school and just getting myself through that. It was a long enough journey as it already was, for me trying to get through school and all that. But once I got out on the other side, um, I I think it was then my senior year of college. I started reffing games like working high school throughout the Shenandoah Valley in Virginia, which is like it's very rocky and it's hilly everywhere. And like some of my games, like my signer sent me all the way out to like the far outskirts of
Bro, I'm in the
Virginia,
middle
like in the
over
middle of
here.
nowhere. Like there wasn't a soul, near in sight. It was there's maybe even some cattle and or herd or like animals. Like it was crazy.
I know some tournaments out there sometimes in the middle of nowhere where it's like it's a field they've made up, just they put the rope just to rope off the like the parking lots, and then you're like walking in and it's just like a field and you're like, bro, where am I? Like, how did we get here?
Well, yeah. Well, you remember the Polo Grounds? That was where like State
Yes.
Cup was played, and it was basically like these fields laid on top of like a horse, like a course or
Yep.
something,
Crazy.
an obstacle course.
Crazy.
The fields were horrendous. It was every year we didn't win state cup. We would blame those fields until we
I know,
finally did
100%.
until we finally did one year.
We love the Polo Grounds then. Oh man.
Yeah,
That's no, that's great. So, okay, so you made that transition. You
yeah,
did a bit of it. Obviously, growing up, you're doing it. I kind of did the same thing. Um, but obviously, I didn't. I would say I didn't take it as serious as you. So, I guess when you started refereeing in the high school games, like, do you like remember your first, high school game? Do you remember like what it felt like? Because, um. Yeah, because like that should that there's some excitement, there's some nervousness. So do you remember how you felt in your first game, and and like how it went for you, and your thoughts on it?
yeah, absolutely. I think yeah. In the beginning stages, I was honestly like fairly nervous and anxious.
Mhm.
I knew kind of the skill set I brought to the table and my abilities with being a former high level player. Like my knowledge of the soccer or of the rules, or as we referees call it, the laws of the game.
Mhm.
But I was still like um, kind of I was feeling uneasy, and definitely the nerves got to me. And the thing about like youth soccer and high school soccer and everything, and even now officiating college and adult amateur and semi-pro, is that like every age group, regardless of what it is, like it brings something different. And um, I had to start with like the younger age groups, getting comfortable with them, and um, then then getting into high school is like a whole different animal, and yeah, I definitely found a lot of teaching moments, um, where I could utilize my communication skills and game management tools. And I've always really had a blast reffing high school soccer, because it's like all about the atmospheres. They're so energetic. Some of these schools, especially in the DMV, they bring out like huge crowds,
Sick.
and they're cheering on their schools,
Mhm.
of course. But it feels like as referees, like we're also kind of getting supported. Like we just feel a part of that, like um really passionate and like
Yeah.
enthusiastic environment. And um yeah, I mean, in the in the beginning, it was really um I felt more anxiety and I was nervous, but after just getting a few games under my belt, like I started feeling a lot more self-assured and confident in my performances. And then yeah, I decided to reach out to all my signers in the area I live in, and they helped get me hooked up with these top youth tournaments. And um, it was kind of pretty stagnant until like 2020 actually, when I know the pandemic started. But that was actually where I where my refereeing career really took off, because I was identified by a state level assigner. She actually worked a game with me in like Prince William County, and she thought I did a really good job. I was hustling hard. I was making the right calls. I was in the right positions where I needed to be. I was engaging and talking with players appropriately when I needed to. Everything was flowing smoothly. Like she definitely noticed a lot of those positive things about my reffing game. And then she invited me to participate in the USU Soccer Virginia State Cup semifinals and finals.
Wow.
Um,
Wow,
I
that's really cool.
Yeah. So yeah, from there, there was a lot more professionalism
Mhm.
required, and um, yeah, it just it took my game to took it up another notch to a even better level. I got to meet other referees who are like-minded as myself, and wanting to achieve more, and aim for working more competitive games.
Mhm.
And so yeah, I mean, despite the challenges that came with the pandemic, I was able to really thrive in that environment. And since then have been invited back to numerous state cup finals in both Virginia and Maryland. And um, yeah, I think now I've become a lot more accustomed to or have gravitated toward challenging myself with the older age groups, and in high school, and in college, because like as I mentioned, like adult, amateur, and semi-pro, because at all of those levels, the game is much faster and competitive and emotional. Um, but at the same time, the players are also a lot more mature enough to understand the nuances. And of course, there's like room for having like these teaching moments, but there's also room for like really high level match management. And so it's kind of like a sweet spot where the game feels really meaningful for me. And I can really like influence the environment in a positive way.
Oh,
Um,
that no,
so
that
yeah,
makes no, appreciate the insight because that's something you don't really learn or know, and so kind of pivoting into like, I know you briefly kind of touched on like what's the process to becoming a referee, like the because you mentioned getting you know refereeing with an assigner and then being able to go up to a higher level. I'm just thinking of it as from a player's perspective of like how I'd progress. It's just obviously getting that opportunity, seizing the opportunity and doing it like that. So, is that like that's obviously a similar process, or it's just like because even for as a pro, like there's a level of luck that is required, to
right.
get the opportunity, and then I don't believe it's luck when when you seize it, but yes, like I think
Agreed.
the kids and then the viewers would love to hear about the process of like how to become a referee and then kind of move up and continue building like how you've built.
Yeah, of course. Um, to start off with, like it's the process itself is to become a referee is pretty straightforward. Like you have to first register through your state association.
Mhm.
And then after that, like complete a variety of like online modules.
Mhm.
And then for first year referees, you then are required to attend a field session
Mhm.
where you learn about the all the mechanics and the technical aspects,
Mhm.
of being a ref, like how to make certain calls and signal, both using hand gestures and also like utilizing the flag as an assistant referee, which are critically important to being successful. And then after that, everybody comes together and you take a test. And if you pass that, which it's essentially like
Mhm.
yeah, it's you basically don't fail like because
Like
the
you shouldn't be
like
failing on
the
the test.
yeah, because the instructor brings everyone together in a classroom, and it's a very collaborative like type of class. So basically you'll take the entire test pretty much as a group, and
Mhm.
you'll be able to talk to each other like through the various like scenarios and questions. And yeah, you're not allowed to like move on to like the next question until everyone is in agreement
Ah, okay.
in that whole class.
Okay.
Like, all right, this makes sense. All right, we can now move on. And then the instructor's like, all right, that's great, everyone. Like, check. Let's
Mhm.
move to the next question here. And so it's a really encouraging and supportive environment, getting the education to become a ref. And yeah, and then after it's all said and done, you then will receive your badge and start officiating games. The instructors will help connect you with like a few assigners who oversee like just the beginner like travel
Yeah.
leagues and stuff. And then yeah, from there, really like advancing is based on not only your performance but also your like professionalism and commitments to the game. So um like you had perfectly described, like how I've been able to move up is it like a big factor of that is also like getting seen at the right times, by the right people. So, I've been able to demonstrate that I have consistent, strong match control, positive evaluations from my assigners, my assessors, referee coaches, mentors, all those people. And then my fitness, and physical conditioning, and then on top of that, like my participation, like being an active um, member of all these different development groups and high school referee associations, and stepping up to the plate, like when my national signers have a need for covering a really important like um you know postseason game or something like that. um you
Gotcha.
know and so yeah, in the end, it's not just about making the right calls as a referee. It's about like um for me, showing that I can handle the expectations and the pressure of those high level matches. And then, yeah, I mean, ultimately, I think one of the biggest uh, kind of key factors for me in my progression is like word of mouth. So,
Yeah. Okay.
when I do a good job on a game,
Mhm.
maybe my assistant referees or the coaches or the players in that game, they'll start like telling other people, and then it kind of
Yeah. Wow. Okay.
it spreads like wildfire, like yeah, and then that's kind of how my reputation has gotten to where it is, because
Uh,
people are telling other people, like assigners are talking to other assigners, and they're telling them like, Zach does a really good job on these games, and that he's deserving
Okay.
of even more higher level games. And yeah, so
That's
I've been able to, steadily climb the ladder over the years. And so I went from doing youth games
mhm.
to then working like adult amateur to
Okay.
now doing like semi-pro, which includes like USL League Two,
Mhm.
NPSL, UPSL, which is United Premier Soccer League, um, and yeah, then I finally got myself into officiating college matches, both at the Division 1 and Division 3 levels. And so
Okay.
now one of my big goals in this year, 2026, is to, um, start getting named to regularly, work centers at the D1 level,
Gotcha.
and become a really reliable, referee and yeah, I have some really big lofty goals,
Great.
in store for the future down the road. Like, right now I'm what's called a U.S. Soccer regional referee.
Mhm.
The next step up for me would be to become a national referee. So that would make me become eligible to officiate like USL League One, USL Championship, like where you're playing at in the big
Style.
leagues.
Style. See, that
Um,
was actually my question of like, yeah, like how like what's the jump? Obviously, before that is college because a lot of college refs that I had, and to each their own. Some of them were good, and some of them I did not believe were good. That ended up
yeah,
seeing them in the USL Championship, and I'm like, hey man, how did this guy get here? Like,
yeah,
and then that goes into the obviously what we are talking about the shortage of referees, but like me being on so many teams that I've been on and knowing the referees being in this league for this is my eighth year in the USL Championship um like seeing all these referees and stuff like that, honestly, if I'm being honest, it looks like the platform for the referees to go up is easier than it is for a player to go up because I've seen so many referees through my 7+ years like
hmm
get elevated to the MLS. um and then we obviously get a new batch of referees that come in, that get opportunity to come up, and it takes them a few years to get used to it. And if they're still in the USL Championship after 4 or 5 years, then it clearly that you're not doing something great, so to
yeah,
speak, and
right,
you're kind of there. Like, obviously you could speak more to that than me, but um, from a player's perspective and seeing that, and I know some of the rest by name, say what's up. Probably been some of those
mm.
their worst nightmare, to be honest. Um,
Yeah,
100%, 100%. Um, but I think as I've gotten older, I've definitely had more respect for referees, for sure. As when I was younger, I just I don't understand how some of these guys, you know, don't have certain experience, but then are refereeing games, and so like that goes to the shortage of referees, So that means that, you know,
yeah,
you need them. So um,
yeah,
someone's getting an opportunity, and so for you
yeah,
the next step is becoming a national referee, and then it's getting dabbling in USL League One, USL Championship, and yeah, obviously is the goal MLS? Is that the goal in the
it could
dream?
be, yeah, yeah. So yeah, it would be to become a part of the pro organization. It stands for
Bro,
Professional
okay.
Referee
Hmm.
organization, and so yeah, that's the highest level of officiating in America.
Okay.
Those referees work in the Major League Soccer games,
Okay.
and so yeah, then the highest tier, as you well know, is to become a FIFA. So that would be to
Yes.
I would be eligible for like international assignments. So not only working like MLS, but traveling the world and
Unbelievable.
getting to work various like youth like World Cups and
Unbelievable.
um, I mean, yeah, the sky is the limit. But I'm just trying to stay as humble as I can in the process. It can be really easy for me to develop an ego and
Okay.
think that I'm better than everybody else, and um, just be really, really haughty kind of in my approach
Yeah.
to refereeing. Um, but yeah, I just kind of need to stay grounded in where I'm at, and just continue chipping away at it. Recognizing that it's a process, and it's not like it's not an overnight change that can be made. And I'm not really far away from becoming a national. All that is required is a few assessments where I kind of the country that a fitness test that's more
That
difficult
was gonna be a
than.
that was gonna be a question out. That's awesome that you're flowing like this. Like, yeah, like
Enjoy learning what it takes to become a better player from professional soccer players? Well, how would you like to work with professional players one-on-one? Now you can with Be Pro by Perfect Soccer. Head over to perfectsoccerskills.com/BEPRO to apply to work with our network of pro players today.
how like I've seen all this stuff on Instagram, you're cranking miles, man. And I'm just thinking from the fitness I do and stuff like that. But like as a player, I don't ever, no, I don't, it's not really, I don't ever think about the referee's fitness. I
Yeah.
don't. It's just a part of it, right? But you're always running. Like at least I get to stop, walk here. It's always constant movement, and it's a completely different mechanic, especially being, a linesman to being a center, and obviously the fourth gets
Mm-hmm.
live the good life and just.
Yeah. Yeah.
Is
Just
it a good
collect the
life though
paycheck.
when you're trying to manage both benches and the coaches are just absolutely ripping you apart? I don't know. Maybe I'd rather run, on the field. But yeah, the physical aspect of it, like how, yeah, as it's gone up, it's has it gotten more demanding? What do you do, from a physical aspect to, be prepared, because and what is that test, and all of that. So,
Uh, so frankly, like free to
hold on, you're going in and out. Let me see if it's my speaker.
can you hear me?
It's still going in and out. Hold on, let me see. See the sound. Okay, let's see if it's better now.
Um, to be grass free is considered the lowest level. Um,
Okay.
and now they're just called referees. That's their title.
Mhm.
Compared to like a fitness test.
Yeah, it's
Um,
about like 50 meters, and have to complete it in roughly like 6.5 or 7 seconds, something like
okay.
that. I think like seven is the requirement, and so it's a fairly fast sprint, and you have to have some sort of athleticism
A little,
to
yeah,
complete
for
it.
sure.
Um, yeah, it's not a walk in the park by any means, and
Mhm.
that's only the first component or part, and then the second part of it is like an endurance long run.
Oh,
So basically,
mm,
we run it's like 2.5 miles, so
okay.
that'd be 10 laps around the track,
Mhm.
um, and so we will repeatedly run the straightaways and then like jog the curves.
Okay.
Um, and we have to, I think, run the straightaways in maybe like 12 seconds, something like that,
Yeah.
maybe. And then I think we have like double the amount of time to
Curves.
recover on the curves. I don't I don't remember the exact numbers off
You're
the
still
top of my
moving.
head.
I'm thinking about the time. You're moving on down the straights. Um,
Yeah, you are. It's not like a walk. It's like a slow like recovery jog. Let's see.
and you're doing that for two and a
Let's see if
half
I can.
miles.
Yeah. Let's see if I can find it somewhere. Yeah, I mean, yeah, you're doing it for like 2.5 miles. So it's nonstop and um, yeah, I mean, it's not easy by any stretch. Like, I consider myself to be in, pretty tip top shape. But yeah, I mean, I'm still, I'm definitely not breathing like comfortably through the whole test. And yeah, I mean, if you don't prepare for it or you're not, regularly working out or doing some sort of training, unfortunately you won't pass. Like it will be noticeable. I've witnessed other referees who, I really want to see their success, but they unfortunately can't move up if you don't pass the test. That's kind of a disappointment to see others not make it who you're rooting for. Um, but yeah, believe it or not, that's just like the regional referee test. The national is even more challenging because it's basically the same exact parameters as I mentioned, but it's even condensed into less time, and like you have less like recovery in each of the laps for the long run. So yeah, the demands get higher and higher the more I move up, and so I think the biggest lesson, as hard as it was for me to take away from my whole college experience, is that and youth soccer, is that we pretty much had like everything provided for us. Like, all the resources, including the training sessions were all laid out for us. The
Yep.
coaching was all there. We had top-notch coaches. Even our conditioning. I don't know if you remember this guy's name, Jim Fox, at Bethesda.
Oh my
He
God.
ran us
Yes.
into the dirt with the fitness and um,
I don't want to hear that name ever again. Oh my gosh.
yeah,
Jeez Louise.
yeah, and so yeah, everything was kind of forced upon us. It basically, the approach was like, we should do this, or else, there's a chance we could get cut from the team, or our playing time will go down, or you know um, we'll sit on the bench, and so that kind of that outlook kind of like carried me through college. And once I got to college, it was like everyone was like just as better as me, if not even better. So
Mhm.
um, it was really hard for me to kind of learn that lesson of like I actually have to put in extra work, like off the field. And
A
that
lot of stuff that people aren't seeing. You gotta grind. Yep.
Yeah, and not everything's going to be, delivered to me on a platter, and spoon fed to me like it was during my time at like Bethesda and everything. So
Mhm.
yeah, I've come to learn that, in order to make it to the top, like you've got to put in that extra effort, that extra time, that extra training. So everything I do now has become completely voluntary. Like nobody's forcing me to get on the treadmill and run, 10 miles that I do. No one's making me, show up to these referee clinics and courses and complete them and stay in good shape for my refereeing.
Mhm.
It's all something that I want to do because like I want to become better. I want to improve. And I have like aspirations to continue moving up. So now,
Wow.
it's during the off season for like another like week or two. Actually, I have my first game coming up on this coming Sunday. So
Love
um
that.
yeah, it's
Welcome back into it. Okay.
yes, sir. I have a couple of adult amateur league matches, which I don't see to be, easy at all, So
Yeah.
I'm jumping back into the fire, but um, Yeah, because of all the training and hours of work I've been putting in, it really sets me up, for success. And I think that has been one of the biggest like separating factors in my journey as a referee is like, being willing to, to go above and beyond um, and put more work in than the person next to me. And so yeah, I mean it's led to a lot of success with being named to numerous like high school state finals, USU soccer, state cup championships. I've attended a couple of those USU soccer regional championships.
Okay.
Where we went to like
Those
where
are
we went to West Virginia. Remember
oh
that?
my gosh, that was in the middle of nowhere. I was like, bro, why is the state so far behind? Hey,
Yeah,
any West Virginia listeners, hey man, no disrespect, but like, wow. Back then, I was like, wow, there's a lot going on here, man, but not
yeah,
enough. I remember that making them make it out there. Wow, that was a time ago, man. But you just answered one of the questions, one of the five Quincy questions, kind of. But it was we're gonna get into that now, which are I kind of warned you before of the
oh
the,
yeah.
the tricky questions. They just make you think a bit more. And I think it's good because it'll provide kind of the kids and anyone listening who, wants to be a referee, you know, um, a good full aspect of how you think about things, and I think that's cool. Especially yeah, everyone knows that these questions aren't given in advance, guys. So this is on the spot. Um, but okay,
All
so
right, let's dive
question
right into it here.
question one: what is the most important skill or quality that has helped you in your refereeing career?
Um, that's a great question. I think I would say communication, and by that I mean like I think like not every crew I work with clicks
Mm,
naturally. I've worked with a lot of people whose like styles didn't match mine or whose like personalities were kind of overpowering or they made things tough. And when
mm,
that happens, I focus on the basics, which is communication. Like before the match, I'll try to understand how my referee peers operate. So we have what's called a pregame, which is where we cover like all of the um, scenarios of what might happen during a match. But then also we will dive into and discuss like certain things that we like to see, maybe as a center referee or as a linesman, or like habits that we regularly practice, and see how we
yeah,
can kind of all like align like on the same page as each other, so that there's no um, like misunderstanding or miscommunication, both like verbally in what we're saying to people, and to the players and coaches, but also non-verbally, like how we come across, how our demeanor looks like,
wow.
and like the signals we make and all that stuff. So during the games, I try to adapt, where I can, and then afterward, like we all will like come together and reflect on like what has like worked well and what didn't work well. As far as like
But, hmm,
communication in the matches themselves, it's not just about blowing the whistle, right?
100%,
It's about like my presence. It's about my tone, like how I'm talking to players, and coaches, and it's about my reading of the temperature of the game. And like if a player starts like getting frustrated or angry at me, like maybe sometimes I might like check in with them. I might like give them a compliment when they take a nice shot, that goes like upper 90 or something.
yeah,
I might say, night, that was a great play you just had. Or if a coach is getting heated up, I may give them a calm but a firm warning, that I'm not gonna tolerate, their behavior in certain occasions. So
mm.
Yeah, when we're a team as referees, and working together, like we can really effectively manage the environment together. And so, a key for me is just being a great like communicator. Um, and
That was a
yeah,
great answer. I'm just because I was even thinking about it. Yeah, no, it could have been a come up after. It's just like yeah, the how you manage the emotions, and it's just like I could tell, and even since we were kids, man, you're always very level-headed, well spoken, and obviously the more you've done it, this seems like the more confident you're getting as refereeing, and the aspirations you have and everything like that, and so you kind of answered my thought of like how does he manage everyone's emotions and like that, and so it's through your
yeah,
communication. It's through your communication, it seems like that you've been able to like get your style of refereeing, and be able to adapt with everyone else's, which is something that I've haven't even completely thought of, but I can look back now as a player, in games where I see like these guys were not on the same page at all, and
yeah,
then you can see a crew where it's like, even if others don't agree with the call of the center, like it's like, yo, this is our guy though. Like I can't, like we're with him. And then obviously, you guys have pregame stuff. I assume there's postgame stuff too. So it's just like you discuss, you know, this happened, why this happened, this and that. The decisions made, what you saw in the decision versus somebody else and stuff like that. Um,
yeah.
and so,
That's
yeah,
that's
it kind
spot
of
on.
boils down to the communication, which is it's kind of known, but like I appreciate you elaborating like that. That gives a lot of insight, and that even helped me as a player, when approaching referees, because I've definitely been in human language on the shit list in the past.
Yeah,
Yeah. Just berating refs in the past. I have, and I've gotten older, and I'm like, okay, like to have a ref on your side, man. They don't want to hear the guy yelling at them the whole time. Nobody wants that. Nobody wants a guy who's just combative the whole game. Like it's just that's not who I wanted to be. And it helped me even become as a player, just like more calm and stuff like that. And I don't know if it's like this everywhere, but I have a feeling that indirectly there's can be like a kind of a target on your back of like, okay, we know this guy's gonna fucking always be combative, or it was like that with our coaching staff that I had a couple years ago. Those guys were always in a position. They're always getting yellows. The staff, someone on the staff was always getting yellow because everyone knew these guys were gonna cuss you out and like
yeah,
cause problems. And I'm like looking there, sitting there, like, bro, these guys are not helping us. That's why every home game feels like we're playing away, is because these guys have made it very difficult to be likable, like at all. And so I just bringing that full circle of like my perspective of that. But even
yeah,
going yeah even kind of going into the next question is like you personally, what is like the biggest mistake you believe referees are making? um yeah
yeah.
um,
Um, I think I think it'd probably have to be like, sometimes if they make a call and like players aren't accepting of it, like
mm,
sometimes it takes us being human and like reading the room around us, right? So if it's just like if it's a very routine decision, for example, like um you're on San Antonio FC now, so you guys wear black usually,
yeah.
and maybe you're playing like your old club like Memphis, they wear
Mhm.
white, right? So
Mhm.
if we're as a team, if I'm the center referee and I want to award like a black throw-in, and but like all the players on San Antonio are backing away, and um they're not taking the ball and like throwing it in for the next
Yeah.
play. And um yeah, sometimes it's like, oh, I think I might have made a mistake here. Like it should
Oh,
actually it should
reading
actually
that
be a
cue.
white, it should be a white throw in, because um like you're like I'm reading the room, and everyone's telling me that it's white ball.
Yeah,
So
like if the guy's backing away from the ball, like those two guys have gotten into a challenge or whatever, something it's simple, and the ball's nicked out of bounds, and there's like the slight second before the linesman puts their flag to indicate which way, and
Yeah.
then obviously the time when you see it and that happens, and it's like, yeah, instead of my team going to get the ball, we back away, and in your head you're like it's going to black, and even the
Yeah.
linesman has put black.
Hmm.
Um, so that's
Yeah.
pretty cool.
Yeah.
Wow.
So to answer your question, I would say undoubtedly it has to be like as referees, we sometimes make decisions way too like quickly and hastily and
Wow.
rushed. And like, let's say, there's a very controversial decision that like to give a penalty, and the player who goes down, or who falls down, like is not even like complaining, or he's not even saying a single word, like, oh, I got fouled.
Mhm.
Maybe in fact it's not a penalty, like we just have
Gotcha.
to read the room, what the situation is telling us, and then from there we can, as referees, make the most informed and educated decisions, instead of just, as a center referee, I might just like instantly point to the spot and give the penalty, and then like the team who it goes against, they're all like, up in arms, and they're like, what the hell, ref, and that's terrible, and all that. Like, I think sometimes as referees, we just yeah, we're just so rushed because we go off of like anxiety, or the pressure in the moment, and instead we just need to take a deep breath, maintain a calm, relaxed demeanor, um, and ask ourselves, what's the game telling us in this situation?
Yeah.
Like, not only what the call is on the field, but like, well, like what are the players signaling to us with their body languages? Like, how are they reacting to whatever just happened on a play? So I think definitely for me, it's like, we do things like so quickly. We live in a society that's so like, you know go 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 nonstop, like,
Yeah.
yeah, all about money and whatever, and it's like we just need to slow down um,
Wow.
and just be composed in our decision making. And yeah, and now in today's society, we have like VAR and
Yeah.
video
That was
review.
one.
So it's like, oh, if I mess up, I can just, as a pro ref, I can just go to the monitor and see and change my original decision, because like I made my judgment way too quickly, so
That's
um
that's great that you said that, because I was literally kind of a little segue, and it's not one of the questions, but I was like, yeah, like I could see you being very successful, um, especially in the USL Championship, and then even the MLS obviously becomes a different whole beast with the physical aspect of that. But you seem very determined to get that bogged down, um, because that is just a non-starter, just in general, right? Just being fit, it's just the non.
yeah,
It's
it's a
just
non-negotiable. Yeah.
it's literally it's what has to get done. But then this whole aspect of it, of how you're thinking about, because I'm like, have you had exposure to VAR?
I have not like directly, but
Mhm.
I have witnessed it like at my some of my college games. More and
Uh-huh.
more schools are adopting like
That's crazy. Yeah.
video review.
Mhm.
So, I've seen like my center referees I worked with maybe like, go over and like check it out, and like give it like a test run. And I've seen it been used a few times, but I've
Mhm.
never like actually utilized it myself directly. But I'm sure at some point in time, like, it's just going to become so widely accepted or used. And yeah,
Mhm.
so I will get some exposure to it, and then ultimately with going up the ranks. I don't think it's implemented in like USL Championship.
It was originally used as like a dummy for the MLS. Forgot forever ago. Sorry, over 10 years ago. It was used then, and then it was developed and taken to the MLS. But I
Yeah,
don't foresee it happening. Maybe in like 3, 4 years, I could see it happening, because it costs a lot of money,
it
and
does. Yeah,
I don't know if the league wants to spend that chunk of change. To be honest, they were okay
right.
being guinea pigs for it. But yeah, just going back to your thought of it, I'm like, yeah, like that's the mentality that you have of it. It's like, yeah, it's cool to have that, especially when when you get to that level with, well, you'll have VAR at, in the back pocket. You kind of only want that used if like absolutely necessary, just like you're
Yeah.
saying, I've seen a lot of refs use it as a crutch, where it's like,
Hmm.
call, okay, let me go back, but like for the most part, you've seen it as used effectively for like offsides, um, possibly reviewing penalties, but that's also some type of like human aspect to it, right?
Hmm.
Like being able to
Yeah.
call that penalty and reverse the call, reverse red cards, yellow cards. Not so much. I wouldn't say so much yellow cards, but it'd be the
Yeah.
red card decisions. Um, but I really like how you're thinking about it of like, you know, I don't want to use this as a crutch. And I feel like I've seen the opposite of a lot of referees. And then next, the critique. And it also puts a level of pressure on the VAR team as well. Like it
Of
definitely
course.
it puts a different level of pressure on them because you've like, I'm just gonna use them. Like it's easier for me to just use them. Like, yeah, I don't know. Just as a player, I was just thinking at it and watching games, especially in the MLS, and then, um, you know, and seeing it in different aspects in different leagues. It's just like some leagues have done it obviously better than others, but it's just like
Yeah.
I don't know how many refs have your mentality, which is kind of really refreshing to hear. Like that's how you're thinking about that.
Yeah.
Um, but. But yeah, yeah, but basically, yeah, thanks for the answer. I was just like kind of reiterating that how you think about it, I think is a great way to go about it. Like this is who am I? I'm just a player, obviously. But but um but yeah, question three, man. Okay, what advice would you give to a young player, trying to become a referee? Um, yeah.
Um, I think it would be, just try to try to get as many games under your belt as possible at a variety of levels, and to not progress and push yourself too fast. I've been seeing like so many referees at all levels, even some like regional referees become national, and it's like they're too young. It
Wow.
is they're even younger than me, and like it's okay for the players to be older than you, but if there's like a significant difference,
The respect, huh?
it really shows,
Mm,
their inexperience will become exposed.
yeah,
So I think it's like, just being a sponge, taking everything in, and I think I really try to aspire for mastery at all the levels. So like, once I've worked so many youth matches, then maybe I'll elected for the state cup finals and stuff, and you know I can't move on yet until I've been named a center referee for like the oldest age group, like the 19, like the championship. And then once I do
yeah.
that, then I'll move on to regionals, and
Right.
I'll really try to work toward like being a center referee on a regional final. And then I while I've been pretty successful, in my career, like believe it or not, I haven't ever been chosen for a USU soccer national championship event, which is held in like Orlando, Florida. You remember that? Like where
Yeah, it's sick.
where basically the winners from state cup they go to regionals, and then the winners of regionals go to nationals. So
Yeah,
as a referee, I still haven't made it yet to nationals, and so that's something. Um, while a lot has changed in the landscape of soccer in our country, like now USU Soccer Nationals isn't considered as like prestigious as like MLS Next.
gotcha. Yeah,
I've been named to MLS Next, a national championship, as an AR, which is something I'm really proud of. But like the
gotcha.
fact that I haven't been chosen for nationals, like it's
That's interesting.
I can
Yeah.
use that. I can use that as a motivator, right? Like I can try to master like nationals, and then maybe from there, like, um, you know, one of my biggest goals, like last year, was to like start like traveling the country.
Mhm.
I'd really kind of stayed in my state and like
Yeah.
locally with working all these tournaments and events, and so it wasn't really until last year where I started branching out, and I got to go to like Las Vegas,
Wow.
Nevada. I got to go to different parts of Florida, like Bradenton in Orlando.
Beautiful.
I got to go to Arizona at the end of last year. I
Yeah.
got to go to like just many different places, that I just, on my list, and now it's like, yeah, now I just try to do the best I possibly can at those regional and national events, because I never know who's watching me, and at the end of the day, like I said before, it's, who sees you at the right time, and if, I do something really well, and that person like identifies me, then that could be my break for, potentially becoming a national referee, or, to making that next jump. So yeah.
Love that line. Love that line. I remember getting preached as a kid. You never know who's watching, and I love how you're applying that, obviously to the refereeing world as well. Still very valid, Yeah, just like how you refed with that assigner and then, started getting more and more stuff like that. Um, yeah, that's awesome. That's really cool. Just to even think about the opportunity of like, yeah, it's just like it's very similar obviously to the as a player, that little bit of luck that you have to have, at the right time, right place, but you being in that position and doing well is because of all the work that you put in, like just like you said, the willingness to do the extra, the running and stuff. No one's making you do that. No one's organizing anything like that for you. You're having to figure that out. You're going to all these seminars, doing the right things to slowly build, yourself up so that when that moment does happen, or you're making that call that you've ran in your head multiple times, you've thought about your process, how you're going to go about doing things, and then it just all clicks and you get that opportunity. I could see
Yeah.
that happening for you, man, this year. I'm excited for you. I'm so happy that, you've been able to, start going more and more places, which is so cool. How does that even like, what does that work? How does that work for you guys? Because like I know how it works for me. It's just like we go in Friday, play Saturday, Sundays at the same situation like that.
Yeah, so like, for my most recent event, I attended in Mesa, Arizona, which is kind of near
Yeah.
Phoenix, for
Mhm.
MLS Next, Fet.
Wow.
It's called Fest, and it was the biggest, like scouting and recruitment opportunity for up and coming youth players. Like they
Oh,
were,
wow.
um, you know, dozens of U.S. youth national team scouts there. There was, hundreds of college coaches in attendance, looking at the players, and, so I was supposed to be required to go to Phoenix. I think it was like December 4th, which was
Mhm.
like a Thursday.
Okay.
But unfortunately, I couldn't come
Hmm.
till like Sunday, because I had a mandatory clinic for my recertification license. So
Hmm.
I was I flew in on Sunday night, and then I stayed there for an entire week, and that event itself was like, it was over a week long. Like I I worked, I worked probably like, um at least a dozen games over that week.
Oh, gosh, bro. I know your
Yeah.
legs are cooked.
Yeah. They were
Wow.
pretty beat, but
Wow.
um yeah, that's just to tell you, like, or to give kind of, an idea of like how long some of these events are. Like they last for over a week, and, um yeah, you just got to be prepared for it physically, and mentally, like not letting your, your focus and concentration slip in some of these games. Because the players, they don't realize that, like, like we don't have one game per day.
No, it's more than that. It's you
Yeah,
just it's 7 days and it's 12. I'm just like I was doing the math like, yeah, this is not their first game. They're going back to backs. Like,
yeah. Like my first day at that event, I worked four games in that day, and
oh my God.
my last match ended up being the most like competitive, and I was the center referee for it. It was a
Yeah,
game
and I
between
know you were tired too. You had to be locked in.
yeah. Yeah, no, I mean, thankfully I'm in really good shape and it wasn't hard for me, but that's simply because of the extra work I put in. And so, um, if you don't do that additional training, then it's really going to start showing, especially once referees like myself start climbing to,
Mhm.
higher
That's
levels.
gonna start exposing the guys who are just I'm just trying to get by. So
Yeah.
no, definitely see that as well. But that's Joey, that's 12 games, bro. Four in a day. Oh my
I think
God.
the exact amount I worked was 18 games across that
That's
whole
crazy.
in
Yeah.
7 days. I wasn't even there for the whole tournament, which would
It
have
was
been
that
11 days because it was from the 4th of December to the 15th.
oh my gosh. And
So
was it per game you were paid or was it like a contract?
per game. Yeah.
Okay. That's
But yeah, once referees reach like the pro organization or FIFA, then they are contracted.
really
Yeah,
okay. Wow, okay. So that's interesting. I had no idea about that. So I know some of these fools out here who are contracted who like, I don't know about some of these guys.
yeah.
But
I think it's a combination of contract and or like a salary and like a per match like fee. Um,
obviously travel is taken care of per
yeah,
diem. Um, yeah, so like for those games, so if we play a USL Championship game on Saturday, they're flying in Friday, S-
yeah,
Saturday, spending the night, and then flying out Sunday. Because I've actually had a few refs on my
yeah.
flight, and they definitely were horrified to see me on the
They're like,
Sunday
oh God, it's
on the
Akeem
Sunday flight.
again.
And on the Sunday flight in normal clothes. I'm like, I don't like that guy. I know him. That's the ref from yesterday. I'm not a fan of that fella,
Yeah,
but uh, but at the end of the day, obviously, just people like the rest of us. Um, but okay, that's cool. That's appreciate the kind of like the pulling the veil on that because that's
yeah,
something that not people realize like the aspect of I guess the structure of the pay of like in regard to contract and per game
yeah,
and when you go to these tournaments, it's like, hey man, like I'm not going for 4 games. Like
yeah,
I'm cranking, 12 to 18, like you said, 18 games out. And some games you're AR, correct? And then some games
yes.
you're um
Fourth and fifth
fourth and
official. Yeah.
center. So it's like um yeah, how is that determined, so to speak? Because like I would say, or you could kind of provide feedback as being a center is the most strenuous and taxing.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. 100%. Yeah. Absolutely. But yeah, generally how it works is a lot of it is pretty randomized. It's part of it can be based on merits and
Mm,
your grade level. So sometimes, like, my signers may uh, award the center referee position to someone who's consistently performed the best throughout the season, or like they have the highest badge.
mhm,
Um, um, and yeah, then other times it's about like which referees can an assigner just put on the game, just to get it filled, so that there's no like shortages or whatever. So
mhm,
yeah, it's oftentimes I'd say it can be randomized. Like, for instance, I might like be a center referee on my first game of the day, and then I might have like two ARs, like two lines after that, or maybe some days I might have like a center, an AR, and then like another center.
Mm.
Um, you know, periodically it can depend on like what the needs are of the assigner. So like, if I'm willing to step up to the plate and like I feel really good about my fitness and all that, I can center like maybe two games in a day, and then maybe I can be an assistant referee for another two games or something like that.
Gotcha.
Or maybe there might be like a break in between some of those games where
Mm.
assigners can help us out in giving us a break between sets. So um,
Mm.
yeah, what it all comes down to, man, is like just um what the needs are of these signers, like how can we meet them as referees, and working collaboratively together to reach each other's goals. And yeah, there's no really set like system or
Yeah, gotcha.
game plan. So
No, that's cool. No, that makes sense. Yeah, but just obviously, I don't know if everyone's like you, but you know what, you're willing to be, if someone needs to fill a spot and you
flexible.
can do it,
Yeah.
and you're flexible, and that's really good. All right, man. Question four is a doozy, and it can be for anything, and this I think this has stumped most guests. Um, but
All
we'll
right,
give it a shot here. We'll give
I'm
it a shot
ready
here.
for it. Let's see what I
So,
can do.
what is something most people think is true that you believe isn't?
Um,
This can go for anything in your life. This can go for refereeing, for your life. Um, yeah, this can go for anything. Something that most people believe is true that you believe isn't. What was an example? He is completely off his rocker, but one of my friends and old teammates I had on here, he goes, "Yeah, bro." He said, "Bro, I believe aliens are true." I'm like, "Okay, you just took this completely different, different route," but like, I guess that's a valid answer. So it could be anything at all.
Okay. Um, I I mean, I think one of the first things that come to mind is that, refereeing is really easy. All you got to do is just blow a whistle, um, and point directions, and swivel a flag in your hand,
Hmm.
and that's like all you have to do. But I I think that's just a completely false notion, and
Ignorance. Yeah.
yeah, I think it's just a completely false like statement, and that like we've talked about, like there's a lot of personalities that have to be managed on the field. Some people are a lot more kind of strong willed and set in their ways, and you gotta be more calm and gentle in your approach with them, and then like others who can be a lot more like approachable and are personable, and are players who like you can really you know utilize to utilize them to get on your side, so that if you have a really a contentious like decision or something, you can explain it to them, and then they can help like relay that message to the hot
Got
tempered and really uh, you know like problematic players. So I think that's like a belief that refereeing is really easy, like anyone can do it, and like you know
Mm.
if I see a referee doing a really bad job, then I think I can do better than them.
Mm.
um, and uh, I think that's just totally like untrue. That it's the way I approach it is refereeing is like an art. It's something that is uh, it has to become like something that you live by, and it's like a passion that I'm
Mm.
really enthusiastic about. And um, Yeah, I mean, just it's a lot more than people think it is. I think that's a big misconception. Um, I I understand, yourself as a player, like you've made it a really long way in your career, and like you're playing USL Championship. That's like really impressive. And so I think like you probably reached a level where you're able to kind of have more of an understanding with referees than maybe the average person. I think
I think
can
so. Yeah.
can speak for. But yeah, man, when I'm refereeing some of these games, younger age groups or even some of these amateur uh, adults like. Yeah, they just don't have a lot of kind of compassion or or empathy for like like just their understanding of the game because they haven't I don't know they haven't risen through the ranks like you have so um yeah, I think there's a big kind of misinterpretation out there that refereeing is easy and like anyone can do it. Like, I think really it's a lot more demanding
Mm.
than than people think it is. So.
No, a great response. I would have to agree with that. Not saying before, obviously, you and I spoke that I didn't have a respect for referees, even in the slightest, but just thinking like and getting more insight from you on like the nuances of it. And there's obviously still some stuff we haven't been able to speak about, but the nuances of how things go and how you think about the game, use your experience and um, like I'm just thinking of it as a player. A player can afford to lash out and be emotional,
Mhm.
Referees don't really have that room because because we're controlling, you're controlling the game, like that can, affect the game in a different way if a player does it, and so yeah, like I think the average person or the average fan doesn't doesn't realize, what referees have to deal with. I don't even realize, but I have some more insight from you and throughout our conversation. But I'm more than on board with that of yeah, people don't realize it's way harder um
Yeah,
than it's been portrayed to be a referee. And so
yeah. I think that the last thing I just want to touch on with that is like if a player makes a mistake, and it's not really that important or it's not significant, it's like okay, all right, let's move on. Like Akeem, you made a bad pass,
yeah.
it's okay, we can move on to the next play. But it's like if the referee makes a mistake, like oh he or she should have called a penalty, and they missed it, it was
Mhm.
overlooked, or um, the referee should have ejected or sent off this player for violent conduct or
Mhm.
for a really nasty,
Yeah.
challenge or foul, then like, as referees, we will get like heavily scrutinized for that. Like
Mm.
not only by the players in that game alone, but like once it, if someday I'm lucky enough to reach the highest level, like I'll get, really looked under the magnifying glass, by Major League Soccer and by the assigning association, and like they may not ever give me another game in my career just for like this single error that I made. So
Pressure's definitely higher and the stakes are definitely higher. 100%. There's
yeah,
no ifs, ands, or buts about that. Excuse me, the stakes of decision making between a referee and a player, there's no comparison. Um, yeah, I make a mistake. Obviously, you can, lose the game, stuff like that, but you can ruin the game, Um,
yeah,
like it's, I wouldn't say like heavily on this idea, but like I guess the best refs that I've had are like kind of invisible in the game and let it
yeah,
flow.
yeah. You don't
Um,
even notice that they're there, right? Like
exactly. And
you can just
so,
you can play the game. You don't have to focus on them. Like the coaches can just coach their team. they don't have to belittle and admonish the refs over decisions and everything, and everything it just flows a lot more smoothly, right? Like,
Yeah, 100%. Those are like the best reps I've had. I'm like, hey man, this guy was actually pretty good. He didn't really do much. Like, and if he didn't really do much, that means he did a lot. And he managed it very well. And so, um, yeah, like, yeah, just echoing that. Um, just even reflecting on him, like the best reps I've had, the ones where it's like everything went well, like no complaints. Didn't really notice the guy, or girl.
yeah.
And um. Yeah, that's cool. I like that. Last one of the five Quincy questions, and then we can get you
All
out of here.
right.
I appreciate your time, man. Um, what is something you'd move forward with if you weren't scared of a bad outcome? This goes to life as well.
Oh man. I think like looking back on my playing career, and while you know I never would say that I've officially kind of hung up my boots. I can always get out on the field
Mhm.
and play again in a competitive environment if I choose to do that. If it's like NPSL or UPSL or
Gotcha.
USL 2 or something. I heard that Bethesda Soccer is adding a
Saw that.
USL League Two team,
We're just
as
getting
well
league
as
teams involved, huh?
yeah, as well as Loudoun United
Yeah.
and other clubs in my area. So um, I think uh, in answering your question, like what is something that I would like continue doing if I wasn't afraid of the outcome if it was negative is like um, I think just like dealing with the adversity and hardship I faced a little maybe a little more effectively. I think could have brought me a longer way in my playing career.
Gotcha.
It's easier said than done,
Mhm.
and I think I probably looking back handled some of the trials and tribulations I faced in like not the best way. Like
Mhm.
I took some of the feedback and criticism from my college coaches like too literally or too personally, and I think that
Mhm.
that may have kind of been one of my detriments and um,
Mhm.
and not continuing to develop and progress and um, maybe just adopting this kind of universal like mindset like all right coaches say bad things to all players like they um it's not just me that like I'm the issue it's it's just, the coaches are just doing their jobs like what they're
Yep.
paid to do so I think if I had maybe um uh kind of developed a healthier mindset or outlook around that then perhaps I could be like where you're at in USL Championship or um, maybe even blessed or fortunate enough to get drafted or like in the super draft like you did at DC United. So um, yeah, I've got massive respect for people like yourself and players who have been able to make it to the top and
Appreciate that.
it's yeah, it's an incredible accomplishment. Something that I think I envisioned for myself. When I was younger, and so it was kind of a letdown that I wasn't able to get to that same peak or that same point in my career. But um, yeah, I think that's like the response I can give you is yeah, I think I would have loved continue playing or having like a highly successful 4 year college career
Yeah.
um, where I was like, competing for championships and things like that. But unfortunately, like things didn't really, pan out for me as favorably. So Yeah, I know there were a lot of negative effects, or it was not a great experience for me. But yeah, I think in looking back, like I would have I think I would have built even more resilience and resolve than I have through my refereeing if I just continued sticking with the playing soccer, even if things weren't going well. And
Yeah,
um, who knows, maybe I could have made it even further.
I got you. No, I appreciate you said. I appreciate, you sharing this. But I'm even thinking about me, and just like if it didn't work, would I be able to do and pivot how you pivot? I personally, I don't think I would have, to be honest. So like, like beyond respect for you, how you've pivoted, you've found continued the passion in the game, and um found a new, journey and a dream, and are chasing it wholeheartedly. And just even what you shared today, I think it's just very valuable for for people who are wanting to do the path you've been on, people who are in the same spot that you've been in, like, okay, it's not working, like, but I still want to be a part of the game. I still have a passion for the game, and I still want to be a part of it in some capacity. And then um, this could unlock something for somebody who never really thought about refereeing, and like, oh, I do see myself liking this. Um, so I appreciate you kind of being a role model for that. On the podcast, being our first referee on here,
Yes,
just
sir.
giving the knowledge, giving the wisdom, and just being well spoken and level headed, and I appreciate that, and obviously I appreciate your time too. Um, so just thank you from that, from the whole organization of Perfect Soccer, and the podcast itself. So
Yeah. Yeah, thank you so much, Akeem, and for Perfect Soccer, for hosting me, um, and allowing me to take a deeper dive into my world of refereeing. And whether you're a player, a coach, a parent, or a fellow official like myself, I hope this gave you a new perspective on what happens, inside the whistle. Um, yeah, if you enjoyed this conversation, feel free to give me a follow. You can,
yeah,
I'll
I was
travel
gonna
you
get to that.
along.
Perfect. Yeah, that was one of the things we're gonna do, man. You're on top of it. You're on top of the game. Just say your Instagram, and we'll get that linked in there. We'll get that out, and then but yeah, we'll
Yeah,
have the clips and stuff like
yeah. So my Instagram handle, you can give me a follow at Jabba the Hut 26. I'm also on Facebook as well. My name once again is Zach Fingerhut, and would love to connect with all of you viewers in any capacity. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out, and I will gladly answer them. And also, if you have any interest in maybe picking up refereeing yourself, would be delighted to be a resource and a mentor for you. So yeah, that's all I got. Thanks so much, Akeem.
that.
This has been a great pleasure, and have thoroughly enjoyed our time. And yeah, perfect soccer is tremendous. So continue following along, their with their future podcasts.
Appreciate that. Appreciate that, Zach. We appreciate having on. Until next week, peeps. We'll catch you.
Quincy Amarikwa here, and thanks again for listening. If you enjoyed today's episode, please be sure to share it with someone you feel will get some value from it. And if you could take a moment to leave a review of our podcast wherever you're listening and let us know who you'd like us to interview next, we'll get working on that right away. You can listen to this full episode and more at perfectsoccerskills.com/radio. That's perfectsoccerskills.com/RADIO. You can also enter to win free weekly soccer prizes, goals, balls, jerseys, player meet and greets, and more by heading over to perfectsoccerskills.com/PSTM to enter to win for free today.